means it speaks about the Greco-Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, right? The Christian Empire, and how important it is, that how they took over, and again the Romans will take over.
Correct.
So there is a long history,
Yeah.
right? Of course, this is why when we talk here with Muslims, Arabs, we never talk about coexistence. We never talk about dialogue, interfaith dialogue. We talk about symbiosis. Symbiosis is different, right? So there is this deep relationship. Of course, during the course of history, I mean, the relationships were not rosy or handmade. Right? There were all sorts of problems. But however, this is what has shaped and formed our symbiosis here. And here that I don't know what it says about that the sky is very low.
It is, it's very low in Scotland. Very low, very dark, very wet.
And I'm missing a little bit good meat there and all sorts of things.
The haggis.
Yes.
And if you're able to come, the moderator will try and take you to a football match. I think you like football.
Everything else is of secondary importance, believe me. Because everything ends up in Jerusalem. And here, whether you like it or not, maybe it sounds metaphysical or abstract, is that at the end of the day, the politicians, they cannot reach any agreement, they cannot attain any goal, any result without the real assistance of the religious leadership. For instance, an issue, the point is what is going on with the Mograbi bridge.
Mm-hmm.
This is a religious issue, right? So you see that, for instance, concerning the peace process, etc., everything is stalled, nothing is moving, but there, all of a sudden, the whole religious world, especially the Arab world, Jordan, etc., they are mobilized. Why? Because this is the real issue. This is the sensitive issue. And it was in Camp David, for instance, why the peace process collapsed at the very end. You know why? Because Arafat said, I'm not ready to have my head taken off. Why? Because they touch the issue of Temple Mount for the Jews, Solomon's temple for us, and the Haram Sharif for the Muslims, right? When they touch this issue, who was ready to do that? Why? He was afraid of the religious leadership. I mean, he touched religious issues.
Does the government come to you and ask your advice, or do you have to go and knock on their door and say, this is what we think? Do you have an open discussion with them?
I'll tell you something. Especially the church was especially Patriarchate, right? Is in the middle of the political developments here, regionally and internationally. Why? Because this Patriarchate is connected to the Jerusalem, and especially the old city of Jerusalem. Why? The old city of Jerusalem per se, it's a holy place, right? And most probably you are aware of the crisis that the Patriarchate passed through with the buildings there in Jaffa Gate, right? If those two buildings were occupied by those underground, illegitimate movements, right? Illegitimate unofficially, but legitimate unofficially, right? Can you imagine what would have been the status of Jerusalem? I mean, the political status of Jerusalem, the political demography of Jerusalem, of the old city. Today, for instance, we have all sorts of problems. why all of a sudden to cross, to come into here, now Petrificate here, we have all sorts of problems because the plaza there of Jaffa Gate has been turned into a plaza like in Sacré-Cœur in France, right? And there you have all sorts of demonstrations, which is against the holiness of the city. When the pilgrims are coming here, they don't want to be clowns and to be all these stupid theatrical appearances, all sorts of things that they are doing in Europe. People, they come here to pray. They don't want to see modern activities, etc. And this is a real problem. And the other thing is that how many times this gate is closed. The other day there was the cyclists, right? So what cyclists have to do in Jerusalem? Why? And the road was totally closed. And no matter what is the power and the influence of Vatican, that it is exerted in this area, but Vatican does not represent the voice of Christians of Jerusalem and the Middle East in general. When Vatican speaks about, Christians speaks about the members of their own members of the church, but not, and they have no say whatsoever about Jerusalem, right? I mean, the voice that really represents the voice of Christians in Jerusalem and in the Holy Land, it is the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate, right?
Good.
You understand why? Because the Patriarchate here is the only autonomous, local, indigenous church. And as for the other churches, their point of reference is not here. It's somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah.
Which means all the orders and all appointments are coming from afar, right? And this is what makes sense. And this is why the Patriarchate, I mean, is considered to be the only pure, I mean, the mission of the Patriarchate is purely spiritual and religious, nothing else. As for the other churches, I mean, directly, indirectly, all sorts of interests are promoted. I mean, it's difficult today to, especially in our theocratic environment that all of us will live in, right? It's almost impossible to dissociate secular history or secular life from sacred history, right? Take the Jews, for instance, when what is going on in here, which is the dominant power that at the end of the day imposes itself, it's religion, right? Take Islam, it's the same. I mean, the cultural heritage here of the Jews and the Muslims, and of course of Christians, is religion, it's theocracy. This is why there is theocracy, right? So therefore, I mean, all the religious, all the churches here, right? They, I mean, in a way, they're not servants of God, they're servants of the rulers of this world as well. Take the Russians, for instance, to give you a very striking example, which is our co-religion is still the same church. It is well known, I mean, it's an open secret, right? When you see Russian clergymen, everybody knows what for and for whom they are working. Look now what is going on in Russia. The church has become subservient, servant of the political rule.
It's one of the good things about the Protestant churches, about the Presbyterian churches, is that we stand apart from government interference or state interference.
Yes, this is what you say, and I believe you. Yeah. No doubt, honestly.
We
are trying to convince you, the people.
Yeah. And I think it's part of our heritage.
Then there is another thing. I mean, you don't have this garment. This is very important. You cannot grasp it for the Middle East.
Tell me why.
There is something common between us and the religious people here. Take the Jewish religious people. How they are dressed, right? Take all the Arabs here. They have the garments. So this is something very common, very much in common.
Interesting.
I mean, color,
Yeah.
yes, the colorful
Yeah.
color here, it causes problems because it is connected with the colors of the Crusaders.
All right. Right. Yes.
And here we try our best to convince our people here and there that please, for God's sake, don't blame it. Crusade is something belongs to the past.
Yeah.
Don't connect today's churches and people of church that many things have changed, right? And especially here, there is a reality. You have to admit it, and you cannot say that the local, the Anglican bishop here, or the Lutheran, or the Latin, etc., that they are connected to the Crusaders.
One likes to think we've moved on since then. I think part of my reason for being here as a moderator of the General Assembly of the churches.
Oh, very nice. This is the candle of Christmas.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Thank you very much. I mean, this place here demands self-sacrifice. This is what something that our Christian faith, they cannot understand.
This is video.
Stay here, remain here, is not only to have all the possibilities and the means to stay here, but there is some you have to give, to sacrifice many things from your own. Right? What I'm saying is because here we don't have the luxury to lead a life with, theaters, cinemas, pubs, lecture, I don't know what else. To go to any place to enjoy it. It is on around the clock. We are in a state of holiness and so allow us to present this little blessing of Jerusalem. This is, of course, mother of pearl, right? And this is typical, art of Palestinian Christians. It is very exclusive, art or work, especially from the area of Bethlehem and Bethsahu, etc.
Lovely.
So it's
Thank you very much.
humble.
Very good.
But it's a blessing.
I shall treasure it.
As a blessing.
I shall stop talking when we get out of
It's
it.
going to be live.
So go.
That's for you. You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Here there are no secrets.